Hello my dear students, welcome back to the another virtual class of history. So today I'm going to teach you the second last chapter from ISC history class 11, that is rise of Nazism, that is in Germany. So I'll try to complete both the topics in this single video. So I hope you will watch this video till the end. So it is very important because the second part of this chapter will be doing it in class 12. Okay, so please watch this video till the end. So let's start our today's class. So what we have to study over here is that Hitler, right? So before that we'll discuss about before the rise of Nazism, what all factors played an important role which gave Hitler the benefit to come to power. Like after the first World War, you know that Treaty of Versailles was signed, right? After the signing of Treaty of Versailles, a lot of problems were there, and the first important thing we need to know that who signed the Treaty of Versailles on behalf of Germany. So after the First World War, Weimar Republic was set up. Okay, Germany was declared as a republican country, and in a place called Weimar, a republican government was set up, and the first president of Weimar Republic was Friedrich Ebert. Okay, so Friedrich Ebert was the first president of Weimar Republic, and with the republican program, a government started to function. But ultimately, this government was discredited from the very beginning for the signing of the humiliating Treaty of Versailles. The people of Germany felt that this government signed this Versailles Treaty, but the government had no option rather than to sign the Treaty of Versailles, because that treaty was a dictated peace. Germans were forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles because Germany was held responsible for the war. Okay, so that we have done earlier also. So it was a Weimar Republic under the presidency of Friedrich Ebert. They signed the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, so it has been mentioned that though Germany was a republican country, my dear, it is mentioned that one of the great historian of that time, David Thompson has remarked that the most perfect democratic constitution of modern times, most perfect democratic constitution of modern times, at least on paper, just remember, at least on paper, in practically it completely failed. So after that, what all problems were faced by Weimar Republic, that problems became the greatest failure of the Weimar Republic, and ultimately those problems assisted Hitler to come to power. Okay, so we'll discuss one by one. Like Germany was burdened with a huge war compensation of $66 billion they have to pay as war compensation. Okay, and those they were paying it through Dawes Plan and Young Plan. The American bankers, they had provided them loans, and the loans which they received, they used it in paying the war compensation. Okay, so that way everything was managed. But after that also, Weimar Republic had to face a lot of problems, lots and lots of problems. Like the people of Germany felt that it is Weimar Republic, they have stepped on their back. Okay, and the parliamentary system was so weak, my dear. Number of political parties where their different ideological parties had entered into the parliament, and they completely failed to fulfill the desires and aspirations of the people. Okay, so it is mentioned that in 1928, my dear, altogether 8 political groups were there, 8 political parties were there. Right, that is in the red stake, the lower house and the upper house. Lower house was known as red stake, and the upper house was known as red state. Okay, so in the lower house, the people elected, the elected members who reached over there, they belong to 8 political parties. So definitely, whenever 8 political parties they reach to the parliament, definitely there is a chances of a coalition government, and coalition government is always very weak government. So the people's aspirations completely was not at all fulfilled. Then during the 1919, my dear, 1919, there was a outbreak of violence. The government was forced to fight. COP D8 was executed. Okay, and then again a number of economic problems where their price rise was there. The common people, the money class people, they could not survive due to the high price. Inflation was on the peak. Okay, so it is mentioned that by 1919 Germany was on the verge of a bankruptcy. It was about to end, my dear. That means that they were left out with no money. Kangal ban chuka tha Germany, right? So it is the reason, my dear. It was because if you go through German Treaty of Versailles, you will understand the real position of Germany. Germany was left with nothing, my dear. They were left with nothing. Even the Ruhr region, the Saar Valley, all those things were handed over to France for 15 years. So they were left with nothing, my dear. But during this situation, my dear, when these problems were going on, my dear, there was a young man. His name was Hitler. You might have heard his name, Hitler. This name is not new for the students of history, my dear. Okay, his name was Adolf Hitler. So Adolf Hitler, who was Adolf Hitler? So we are going to discuss about Adolf Hitler. How did he come to power, and what connection he had with the Nazi party and the spreading of Nazism, my dear. So Hitler was an Austrian by birth. My dear. Okay, during the First World War, after completing his graduation, after completing education, when he was in search of job, my dear, he became completely frustrated. Everywhere, wherever he went, my dear, all the posts were filled by the Jews people and all, right? That is why there is some sort of hatred for the Jews from the very beginning only. That we'll discuss at the last. So during that time only, when he was young, he was in search of job. That time the First World War broke out and there was a crisis of a soldier. So he joined the German army and he fought bravely as a soldier, just as a mere soldier. Okay, and because of his bravery, due to his bravery, he even was awarded with the Iron Cross medal to him. So according to Hitler, my dear, he was of the opinion that we were not defeated. German armies were not. Army was not defeated, my dear. It was the government who forced them to come back as they were declared as defeated nation, my dear. So he was very, very restless. He felt that it was due to Jews. It was due to the government. We had to face this humiliation, and this humiliating treaty are imposed upon us. So he had a hatred from the very beginning for the government. That is why I'll tell you, my dear, that in 1923 he tried to capture the Bavarian government at Bavaria. Okay, so who was Hitler, my dear? Hitler was a he was a Austrian by birth. Okay, who fought during the First World War. At the end of the war, he became a house decorator in Munich. Okay, then he joined the Germans Workers' Party, which initially had how many members? Only 7 members were there. The Germans Workers' Party initially only had 7 members, and later on he named that party as a Nazi party. What name he gave? Nazi party. The party which he joined earlier, which was known as its name was a Germans Workers' Party. Initially it had only 7 members, and later on, after he joined that party, it came to be known as Nazi party. Okay, so it has been said that when he was allowed to speak for the first time, my dear, he was trembling like anything. He could not speak the words properly, but slowly and gradually he became a great orator. And he started to speak in public, and that speeches inspired the people, and people felt that this is the man. This man is going to bring the lost glory of our country, and we are going to stand tall once again if we support this man for coming to power. Okay, so with the Nazi party, he started spreading the propaganda of Nazism and all, what Nazism is all about. He denounced the whole Treaty of Versailles. We are not going to follow the Treaty of Versailles. This Treaty of Versailles is the biggest obstacle in the path of our success. So if we continue this Treaty of Versailles, we cannot think of progress. So we have to kick this Treaty of Versailles. So he denounced the Treaty of Versailles completely. Okay, and through through the Nazi party, he started preaching the ideology of Nazism, and very soon, my dear, he became a good orator. Okay, and in different meetings he started to propagate the ideas of Nazism. What Nazism is all about. The Nazi ideology was started spreading like a wildfire in the people, okay, among the people. Okay, then in 1923, for the first time, my dear, in 1923, first time he tried to capture the government. He executed a coup d'etat. Coup d'etat means when you force the government to fight. So during that coup d'etat, my dear, he completely failed and he was arrested, and for that thing, my dear, he was imprisoned for how many years? 5 years. He was given punishment for how many years? 5 years. 5 years of imprisonment he was given, but he was released within few months. So during his stay in the prison, my dear, he wrote a book called Mein Kampf. So Mein Kampf became the Bible for the Nazis. He explained everything about the ideology and the dreams of Hitler in the book called Mein Kampf. Okay, the book was a sort of a Nazi Bible, because in the book he explained his political ideas. All his political ideals were explained in the book Mein Kampf. Okay, and this book preached the supremacy of the state. What will be supreme? State will be supreme. That means he gave importance. The Nazi ideology gave importance to state. Okay, and they started speaking about, we belong to a superior race. We belong to a Nordic race. The blood which runs in our veins belong to a Nordic race, and we are born to rule. We are born to rule the world. So that type of message is started to spread among the people of Germany. Though the people of Germany were very much frustrated due to the humiliating Treaty of Versailles, and when Nazi party along with Hitler, when they started spreading this type of message, my dear, people were emboldened with lots and lots of courage. So they saw that yes, we can bring back our country back to power like we were before. Okay, so in 1925, okay, in 1925, my dear, the party was recognized and its popularity also increased. Party was given recognitions. Yes, now you are a political party, now you can contest election. So in 1932 election was held. In 1932 Hitler contested the election. So 1932 election was held. So out of 608 seats, in the Reichstag is the lower house. Okay, Reichstag is a lower house. Nazi party got 230 seats. So out of 608 seats in the Reichstag, Nazi party became successful in achieving how many seats? 230. So President Hindenburg, who never wanted Hitler to be the chancellor, but right now the number is in his favor. He has the number of seats. That is why President Hindenburg of Germany, he appointed Hitler as the chancellor. Chancellor means prime minister. So Hitler was appointed as the chancellor of Germany. So Hitler was now appointed as the chancellor of Germany by President Hindenburg, because he had number of seats, 230 seats out of 608 seats. So President Hindenburg appointed Hitler as the chancellor. Okay, so now on the eve of the election, my dear, during the election time, my dear, okay, Reichstag was set on fire. And the blame was put upon the communists, and most of the communists were slaughtered and killed during this time, my dear. Okay, so that was a big incident which took place during that time, my dear. The blame was actually, the Reichstag was put on fire by Hitler only, and taking that blame, putting it on the communist, he tried to clean the opposition also. He did not want opposition to exist in Germany. Okay, then So slowly and gradually he started changing the system, okay, constitutional system he started to change, okay. So in 1934 President Hindenburg also died and he occupied the post of a president also. So now he became the president of Germany as well as a chancellor of Germany, okay. So he himself made him the president as well as a chancellor of Germany. So now he became more and more powerful, okay. He became more and more powerful. Now we'll discuss about what changes he brought after becoming the chancellor as well as the president of Germany, okay. So in 1933, okay, he passed an enabling law, okay. Enabling law was passed, okay, on 23rd of March. So on 23rd of March 1933 enabling law was passed, and according to this enabling law, my dear, okay, this law made him more and more powerful. He became now the dictator. So he became a dictator of Germany. Dictator means Tanasa, one man rule. Whatever he says will have to be followed by rest of the people, okay. So the government now could introduce any changes, any laws passed by Reichstag will have to be decided by the president itself, okay. So he now became the dictator. Now what is the use of Reichstag and all, right? People are elected people are there in the Reichstag, but now no use. Now every decisions will be taken by the chancellor as well as the president, that is one man, that is Hitler, okay. So it is mentioned all laws would be drafted by the chancellor. All the laws will be drafted by the chancellor and become effective from the day they are published. So everything will be drafted by the chancellor itself, Hitler himself, and the day it is published, from that day only it will become effective, okay. Then after that the federal system was also ended, okay. So end of federal system, end of federal. So end of federal system. So as you know that Weimar Republic was set up, Weimar government was there. So now he is trying to end everything which was set up after the First World War, okay. So he unified Germany under one centralized system, centralized government. That means totalitarian form of government was set up by Hitler, okay. So all the provinces were made the administrative districts. All the provinces were made the administrative districts of his empire. In a single stroke, Hitler abolished all the separate provincial government. All the provincial governments whichever were there, all was abolished. That means Hitler completely centralized the power in his own hand. That means totalitarian form of a government was set up by Hitler. He completely now became a dictator, okay. Then next one, what did he do? Ban on all the political parties. Ban on all the political parties. All the political parties were banned. All the political parties were banned, okay. Now only one party was left out, that was a Nazi party, okay. So Germany now became one party state. After banning all the political parties, Germany now became one party state, okay. Now there is one incident which is known as the Night of Long Knives, okay. The Night of Long Knives. There is one incident known as Night of Long Knives, my dear, which is also known as a Bloody Saturday. Bloody Saturday, I told you, no. So it was this event, my dear, when 400 people were murdered on that fateful night, okay. It is mentioned that lots and lots of enemies, his oppositions were killed on that fateful night. So Hitler has organized a secret police. Hitler had organized a secret police to suppress all his oppositions. Wherever oppositions were there, whoever opposed Hitler were punished and were put behind the bars or were killed by secret police. So under Himmler was the head of the secret police organization, okay. So became the terror for the people. Himmler's name became the terror for the people of Germany. So on 30th of June 1934, on 30th of June, okay, 30th of June 1934, On 30th of June 1934, my dear, Ernst Röhm, SA leader, his own another group was there. SA leader was murdered by the secret police. His other group, that group also worked for Hitler only. That group was murdered, and the entire blame, my dear, entire blame was put upon the other people, like whoever were left out, right? His enemies, whichever were left out, were murdered on that fateful night, my dear. 400 people were killed on that particular night. So that event is known as Night of Long Naps or Bloody Saturday. Bloody Saturday, night of Long Naps or Bloody Saturday, which occurred on 30th of June 1934. Okay, so see this. So is what you call it, cruel attitude of Hitler. Now after that, Hitler now became the commander of the army. Okay, so in 1934, Purge. Okay, 1934, whichever incident took place, okay, which is also known as Rome Purge, my dear, commander in chief, okay, German army, General Fritsch and Field Marshal Blumberg was dismissed. They both were dismissed, and German army now took the oath of allegiance of Hitler. That means now they will be faithful for Hitler. Okay, now see, one by one he is trying to bring all the changes. Now army also now is completely brought under his control. Okay, so from this time onward, Hitler became the commander of a German armed forces. Now army is now completely under his control. Now whatever he wants, he can do with the help of the army. Okay, now the next step, what did he do? He knew that in future there will be a problem, so he started Nazification. So he started to Nazify Germany. So what did he do? Now Nazi control was now established on every aspect of human's life. So education system was completely controlled. Only Nazi ideals were preached. Syllabus were prepared according to the Nazi ideas. Those professors and teachers who spoke against Nazism or taught to the children, they were fired. Okay, so they had to wear a dress also. Okay, so all the books, syllabus were written on the lines of Nazi ideas. Okay, history of Germany was distorted. New history was written. Okay, then teachers, lecturers, professors were directed not to speak against Nazi government. Every boy and girl after attaining the age of 14 had to join the Youth and League of German Maidens. They had to join that group. So there they will be groomed and will be taught about the glorification of Nazism. So they will start liking Nazi ideology from the early childhood. Okay, and they were even taught to obey the Nazi principle. So this was done, my dear. Okay, then next one, censorship of media. Media was completely censored. They were not allowed to write anything against the government. Whoever wrote against the government were punished or were sent to the concentration camps. Okay, concentration camps is not a jail, my dear. Once you reach over there, once you are sent over there, you will not return back alive. You will die there without food and water. Okay, so radio, newspapers, magazines, whichever were against Nazi ideology or whichever preached or published Nazi ideology were completely banned. Films, music, everything were completely censored and was brought under the supervision of Ministry of Propaganda. Okay, writers, artists, scholars were also kept under the strict vigilance, because if they write anything that will have a great influence on the people's mind and they may go against Hitler. So that is why they were also kept strictly under Hitler. Okay, then suppression of church. So there was always a church always played a very, very important role in politics also. So that time also there was a problem with Roman Catholic as well as Protestant church. So those problems were sorted out, okay, by signing a treaty along with some of the changes which they brought and gave little bit power to the church over smaller areas. Okay, now next one is anti-Semitism. So what is meant by anti-Semitism? Anti-Jews policy. So as you know that Hitler was very much against Jews from the very beginning. From youth only he was very much aggressive against Jews. So what did he do? What type of policies he introduced? So in the year, my dear, 1935, Nuremberg laws were passed. Okay, Nuremberg laws were passed. So according to these laws, Jews were deprived of the citizenship. They will not get the citizenship. Okay, they will not be allowed to marry any Germans. okay, non-Jews to maintain and preserve the Aryan race. Okay, so they were stopped to marry any German so that the purity of German race would not be spoiled, so that need to be preserved. Okay, so they were asked to stay outside the German main area. Ghettos laws were passed. Their citizenship was cancelled, their properties were seized, their houses were burned. Okay, they even destroyed their worshipping house synagogues and all. So this much of hatred was there, my dear. After doing this much also, he was not happy. After inflicting lot of torture over the people, Jewish people, he was not happy, my dear. What did he do? He arrested lots and lots of people and was sent to the concentration camps. There he used to keep it, and sometimes he used to put them in the gas chamber, and in one button lots and lots of people were killed. So that incident in history is known as Holocaust. Lot of Jews were killed, my dear. Okay, so all these things was done by Hitler, my dear. What all things he didn't do, my dear. He did he reached to the height of cruelty, my dear. This is what he did in order to come to power, as well as after reaching to power also he had to continue all these things, my dear. Okay, so this is all about from this chapter, my dear. So in this chapter we wanted to know how did Hitler come to power. That also we discussed. The failure of Weimar Republic was there, and then the event of 1923 onward, okay, forcing the Bavarian government to fight. So this is how, my dear, he tried to reach to power. So we will this all are his these changes he brought after he became a dictator and completely making himself more and more powerful. Okay, he now made Germany a dictatorial country with centralized power in his hand. A totalitarian system was established. No opposition, one party government was set up by Hitler. Okay, so this is all about from this chapter. The second part of this chapter, that is his foreign policies. After bringing all the power in his hand, now he will drive his attention towards foreign policy. That we'll discuss in class 12. Hope you all have understood it. So we'll meet again in the next class with a last chapter. Till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.